when the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
What's going on, people? What's going on? It's G. You already know the ties. You know the vibes. We're here back in the build. Guys, please make sure you are smashing that like button. Please make sure you share. Please make sure you subscribe. And please make sure you do leave a comment. I will be looking at all the comments, all the funny ones, all the rude ones, all the nice ones, all the good ones. And yeah, of course, I will, interact with you guys after you've seen the video. So why are we here today, man? Why are we here today? I'm getting a little bit annoyed. Not, you know what, maybe annoyed is actually the wrong word. I'm just getting, to be fair, another way of putting it is frustrated, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. This conversation, in and around Salah, a few other players as well, to be fair, but mostly, in and around Mohamed Salah. Now, as we know, Liverpool, new manager coming in, going to be playing somewhat, I don't want to say a different way, because the reality is I feel like he's going to play quite similar to the way that we've been playing, for the past like 9 seasons and 9 years and stuff like that under Jurgen Klopp. But there's going to be some differences in certain areas, right? That much I can, at least say, until he actually comes in and we see, the style of football. It might be completely different than, what I'm actually thinking. But on the face of it, it kind of looks like a 2.1, version of Liverpool, where it's kind of the same, mostly the same, but he might do certain things a little bit different. But again, he's going to keep the general, ethos, of what made, Liverpool, the team that we are today, right? And obviously, one of the players that keeps popping up is Mohamed Salah. Will he stay? Will he go? You can see the thumbnail. You can see the caption. In terms of what I think about it. Everyone knows who's seen me on every channel, to be honest with you, how my feelings, behind Mohamed Salah. In terms of how I feel in regards to him, leaving or staying at the football club. And I think that it's like the conversations that people are having, whether it be content creators, whether it be you guys on social media and stuff like that. Like, I feel like at times, again, and it always boils down to this anyway. I feel like at times it's always, again, it's a little bit of like a player FC, I guess, so to speak. In terms of, listen, we all got our favorite players in the team. I know we all try to act like, oh yeah, we want the team to do well, but within that, you've got your players that, you just take a liking to, whether it's their style of play, whether it's, what they bring to the team, something about them is the reason why, you will continuously keep supporting them. And for me, it's probably the same when it comes to Mohamed Salah. But as I always tell people, bro, when Salah came, he was not the guy that I was looking at all. In fact, I actually looked at Sadio Mane more, and he was, I thought by the end of it, Sadio Mane was going to be what Mohamed Salah is today. I thought Salah would be the one sitting in Saudi right about now, leaving 2 seasons ago. All those kind of things. I thought it would be, Salah, as opposed to Mane, who's the guy who, really couldn't really hack it at this top level, kept it moving to Saudi, and it is what it is, right? And again, there's no shade on Sadio Mane for, because of what he actually did for Liverpool, right? But Salah's here. Salah's the one, who's still breaking records, etc., etc. It is what it is. But Salah seems to be the one out of all the attackers that Liverpool have, and I think this is why I get so annoyed and frustrated and like baffled more than anything, is because I'm like, you've got the best attacker that Liverpool have got, and to be fair, I'm going to be doing a bit of comparisons with Salah and like a few other players, but you've got the best attacker that the club have, but for some reason he's the problem, or he's the one that people are looking at. And look, as the thumbnail says, like, Salah can leave on a free. And the reason why I say that is because I think we keep getting bogged down with this. It goes back to what's been spoken about over like the last couple of days in terms of Liverpool's new structure financially and all that kind of stuff. Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, and all these guys kind of coming in and their roles and what they're looking to do, even though we don't really know, right? But I think we're so stuck in the ways of how Liverpool used to run when we were trying to become this top 4 team. We were trying to become commercially, this team that, can gain a lot of revenue, all these kind of different things. And just on that, we're not that same Liverpool. We're not in that kind of space anymore. And the context of football and the landscape of football has completely changed. Since those times. You've got teams now. Back in the day, you wouldn't have found like a West Ham or a Crystal Palace or Aston Villa. Like, these teams wouldn't have been spending crazy amounts of money that they are spending today, right? So when we look at it now, these teams are doing so. So the landscape has completely changed. And I'm just talking about those teams, forgetting that, not even want to talk about like the Manchester Cities and the Arsenals and, everything, in and behind them. So yeah, like I say, the landscape has totally changed. So when I look at Liverpool now, everybody, the one thing that I hear people always say is we can't let Salah go on a free. But we all know, like we've even if you've only watched football for the last like 10 years, let's just say, just by your age, you've only watched football for the last 10 years in the Premier League, right? Not every player can be sold. Like, business don't even work like that. Unfortunately, any business in life, you cannot make a profit, or you can't make a profit, should I say, on every single asset that you have in your business. It's impossible. Otherwise, everybody would just run a business and we'd all be making profit, and then the money would just be flowing everywhere, and then the economy would just be totally different. Unfortunately, football doesn't work like that, and when we're talking about this. So when people say Salah can't leave on a free, we can't let an asset like that leave on a free, I'm like, but I don't understand why you can't. Do you know what I mean? Like, why can't you? If the player stays and he still performs at a decent enough level, again, this is in the hypothetical that he performs at what we call a standard level, for him. If he continues to perform at that and it just ends up leaving, I don't even see any problem with that whatsoever. You bought the guy for about 30 odd million. I'm pretty sure we'd all say that he's paid Liverpool back tenfold, to be honest with you. I genuinely, like, I think that's where I'm finding the confusion. And again, I would love, for you guys in the comments, and for anybody watching this, I would love for you to kind of explain that to me as to why you feel we must sell Salah if he doesn't want to sign a contract extension. Like, ultimately, I'm happy if he were to stay at the club, still perform at your numbers, still do your thing, and then we move on to another player. If you leave on a free, you leave on a free. Like, it is what it is. Again, I'm not that bothered. I mean, I'm sitting in this position, right, as a fan like you guys, where it's not my money. So, there is going to be a little bit of that naivety, within that, of course. But if I'm just trying to look at everything, if I'm trying to look at all facets of the game, whether it's the business side and the business side of the little that I even know of that side, I'm looking at it thinking, I can't read mine, so, and I wish I could, but I can't, unfortunately. So I don't know what the owners and the Edwards and the Richard Hughes, I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they are trying to keep Salah for longer. Maybe they want him to sign a long-term contract just to keep his value. Do you get what I mean? And where even if he doesn't perform, so to speak, next season, as an example, okay, cool, we can look to sell him and we're not going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. I totally get that. But if he doesn't sign a new deal, and I think that's the side that I'm going to be looking at, like, today in this video, is that if he doesn't sign a new contract, again, like, one, you've still got time for him to sign a new deal. You still got up until about January, and to be honest, he got even beyond. It will depend on him, really and truly. And to be honest, he's earned the right to be in a position where, listen, I'm gonna choose what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, from a Liverpool Football Club sense, I totally get it, and that part I will agree with, where it's like you are stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he doesn't want to sign a new deal, you then have a decision to make yourself. If Liverpool then continue and start the season and Mo Salah still hasn't signed a new deal, I can't see why anybody's complaining, because then the owners and the team behind them, they've made that decision. They've made that decision. Like, they've told you, okay, we're good with this. So if they're good with it, why does everyone keep complaining about it? Like, there are so many other players that you can sell another player. You know what I'm talking about? Like, we're talking about the best attacker that Liverpool has in their team, and you guys are trying to, I feel like the fan base is like, oh, we have to sign him to a new deal. We can't lose him on a free. If we lose him on a free, we sign him for 35 mil. That's not a crazy loss. And that's the side I try to also look at it and come across as, it's 35 mil. Like, it's really not a big deal if he were to leave on a free. That's not a mad hit that Liverpool are going to take, so to speak. And to be honest, if you're talking about his wages and stuff like that, he's on about 350 to 400k a week. If that was to come out of the wage books anyway, like, Liverpool are making some of that back anyway, regardless. So it's not even going to be a full 35 million hit that you're actually going to take on top of the bonuses, on top of everything else to do with Mohamed Salah. So the reality is, like, that's the position that I come from, in terms of Mohamed Salah. It's not even just about, he's my favorite player, in the team. Of course, like I say, that there's going to be some bias towards that. And I'm not here to lie about that, so to speak. But sometimes when I'm hearing the arguments and on the other side, I'm just like, okay, cool. You know what? Let's take the bias out of it and let's just look at it on face value, right? In terms of performances and etc., etc. He's still outperforming everybody else. This is him in his bad moment. This is him potentially on a decline and stuff like that. Poor performances, he's still outperforming everybody else. So if this is a guy who's still outperforming everybody else, even though he is declining, even though he's not putting up the performances that we know he can do, like, what does that say? Like, for me, it says more about everybody else than it does even about him. And that, for me, I think is what we're not really focusing on, is that what I'm thinking fans would want in this kind of situation is they'd want, if a player's obviously declining and stuff like that, you'd want the next guy up, whoever that next guy, whether it's Nunes, Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, whoever. You want that next guy to be there where you can say, bro, it don't even matter. You know what? We've got the next guy coming. At the moment, we don't have that in this team. We've got an attack that most of us don't even trust. We've got an attack that I've heard, give or take, most Liverpool fans moan at some point in time, including Salah. So when I'm looking on the face of it, it's not even, and obviously, unfortunately for Ben Doak, he obviously got injured, so we don't even know what could have potentially have happened this season with him in terms of his own development. I think we'll start seeing that, once he's back into the fold, when Slot comes in next season, etc., etc. But where you've got such a unique type of player like a Salah, where you're like, that's still out giving you that the output that most players would actually dream of giving you. Now you're kind of like, it's a little bit techie. Like, it is a little bit, I can see the confusion almost in fans' face, at times, and hearing them, talk about it, because it's almost like you don't even know what you want anymore, because you want everything. You want him to be able to do this and do that, and he's got to be amazing at this and amazing at that, and oh my goodness, he has to be able to beat 10 players, and oh my god, he can't even beat one, which is all true, by the way. Like, he can't beat one player, but we want him to be able to beat 8 players. And I'm like, yo, fair enough. If that's what you want, that's what you want. But guess what? Until those guys are outperforming him, for me, it's a moot point. For me, it's always going to be a moot point. Until those guys that you guys want to be trusting in, until they can outperform him, bro, why are we even talking about this? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And that's the bit that I think I find the most confusing, with this whole Salah thing and this whole Salah situation. But, as I say, man, it is what it is. And we'll take a little look at Salah, anyway, just in a general sense. Obviously, heat map from, this season. Of course, down that right-hand side, been moving in central quite a lot more, trying to get him a lot closer to goal. And again, we'll take a look at the stats and stuff like that. And of course, there's a reason why we're trying to get him, a lot closer, to that goal, because of how effective he is in terms of, creating chances for others. Creates the most, I think he's created the most chances that he's ever created for Liverpool this past season. Again, we're talking about people want to be using but he needs to refine his game. He's kind of showing you that he is, but again, we don't want to look at it that way, because ultimately, like I've said on many occasions when we do the player ratings and stuff like that, of course, when we look at it on the face of it, some of these performances that he is putting in isn't really good enough. But then when you then strip it back even more, when you do that, you're now in a situation where it's like, you know what, actually, he's actually doing a lot better than I actually thought he was actually doing. Now, of course, I think you want to see more of it. That's where I'll come into play, is that I'm almost like, I want to see more of what you can do, because we know what you can do, right? And I'm so used to, the past few seasons, all the things that you have been able to do. But some of the things that you are doing now, you're actually doing more of than you ever did before in your career, for Liverpool anyway. So am I asking for too much? And again, I ask, fans and stuff like that, this same question. Are you asking for too much? Are you asking for things that are a bit too unrealistic, so to speak? We talk about, things like, I think one of the things that people always talk about is him beating his man. and I always ask this question, and I still haven't actually got an answer. Why does he have to be able to beat his man? Like that part, I've never really understood. Like at this stage of his career, by the way, not in a general sense, just at this stage, why does he have to beat his man? Like, if anyone can answer that question, like why he needs to beat his man, still scoring goals, still getting assists, does beating his man change that? Like, I don't really know. Do you get what I mean? If he can't necessarily do that, just has to play a different way, right? Do you get what I mean? We all get to an age, we all get to a stage, you know what I mean? Even me, myself, you know what I mean? Me and Salah are around about the same age. Like, when we get to this kind of stage, certain things you can't really do. So guess what? You're going to have to own some other skills. You're going to have to be able to do other things, right? And I feel like, again, it's almost like we're not... obviously, you've been watching this player for the last however many years, right? 8 years or whatever, however long he's been here. So when we're seeing all of these things, it's like, it's almost like we don't know how to react. It's like, oh my goodness, like he can't do this, he can't do that. And it's like, it's all true, by the way. I'm not here to tell you that he can't do some of the things that people are frustrated with him for not being able to do. But then I'm just like, does it matter? Like, and again, you know, I'll keep asking this, and I want people to, you know, if you disagree, please let me know exactly what you think, you know, in the comment section, because I really want to know, you know, what is it you want? You know, what is it that you want from a Mohamed Salah? But, you know, it is what it is. Obviously, you're looking at his Liverpool career. Now, this is probably a little bit small, so you might need to enlarge the screen, but this is just more like his honors and stuff like that. You know, everything he's kind of done, you know, for Liverpool. You know, he's played a total of 349 games, scored 211 goals, 87 assists. Yeah, you know, it's totally crazy. His honor list, I mean, you guys head over to LFC Stats, and you'll see all of it, to be honest with you. You know, it's been absolutely phenomenal, you know, his record here. But again, that's the past, right? And totally agree. That's all the past. And, you know, we're trying to look towards, you know, the future and, you know, all of these other kind of different things. And again, totally agree. And I hear that. And I don't mind the planning for the future. And I don't mind the, you know, trying to look towards, you know, a new era, so to speak, under Arne Slot, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. We take a look at some of the stats, you know, how he kind of compares to other players in his position in and around Europe in the top 5 leagues. And we're talking about the Leroy Sanes, the Cole Palmers, the Bukayo Sakas, and all of these kind of top players that we would look at and be like, oh, I wouldn't mind this guy, or Olise, Kudus, all that kind of stuff. When we look here, he ranks relatively high. This is goal and shot creating actions that, you know, that he has over this past I think it's 365 days that they do it from. So from this time last year, we're looking at it, and this is the kind of rankings, you know, that he's actually getting, you know, at this current moment in time. So again, when we're looking at these things, he's still ranking relatively high in most of the metrics that I guess you would, you know, want to see, you know, so to speak. Taking a look here again, do you know what I mean? Assists, he's ranked in the top 1 percentile. It's all crazy. Touches in the attacking penalty box, 1 percentile. Progressive passes in the top 7 percentile. Like, I mean, shots total he takes in games, you know, assists. He's ranking high in a lot of these metrics that when we're looking at other players and we talk about other players, and again, we'll take a look how he compares to these other players as well, of course. But when we're talking about this, he's still ranking relatively high. Obviously in some areas, yes. Do I think he can improve? Well, I say improve is maybe a bit too late, but do I think he should have been doing better in other areas? Of course. Even when I joke about the whole being able to take on his man and stuff like that, of course, I would love for him to be able to skip past his man every now and again. You know, of course, like I'm definitely not going to sit here and say I don't want that. But the reality is, I understand that the guy is not the same guy that, you know, he kind of was from before. So if he's not the same guy, I'm going to need to look for something different from him. And ultimately, he is providing that, you know, regardless of anything. But, you know, it is what it is. This is his Balon d'Or rankings, you know, since being at Liverpool. And this kind of frustrated me a little bit. You know, the guys finished 6th, 5th, 7th, 5th, and 11th. Like, 11th, that one I'm not even too frustrated, because obviously I think that's when we had that was when we had like a really bad season and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, he himself was still ranked relatively high when it came to, you know, goals and assists. But you know what? Fair enough. You know, they're going to do it both based on, you know, team and, you know, team kind of effort. so to speak. So, okay, fair enough. I kind of get it. I'm not here to necessarily argue with you on that. But even the other ones like 6th and 5th, and I'm like, really? Like, man was ranked like these kind of low numbers, like, and then I'm trying to think back to some of the players that were even ranked higher than him. I was like, nah, like, I feel like Sadio Mane has been able to finish, I think, 2nd or 3rd. And I'm like, listen, nothing, I'm not gonna take away from Sadio Mane himself, right? And obviously I know there's this kind of like Sadio versus Mohamed Salah thing, you know, that's always brewing at Liverpool. And I guess he picked the poison, you know, but they both did kind of different jobs and different roles. So I think they're both fantastic for the team anywhere at their pomp, right? But when I see that he's made podium, and I'm like, bro, how can he make a podium? But like Salah, like what? Like Salah in his first season at Liverpool, what, when he bagged all those goals, man, finished 6th. Come on, bro. Like what? Like, doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. But listen, mate, it might just be the bias. I'd have to go back through the list, and you guys can probably provide that list of each of these years, from 2018 to 2023, and maybe you can say, okay, but he was better. If so, fairs. Like, I can't argue. I'm not gonna argue. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If I get proven wrong in that fact, cool. But I'm pretty sure in one of these, like at least one of these years, he should have at least had a podium finish. I ain't saying he should have won it, by the way. Like, I don't think he would. The only time he probably could have had a stake to win it is in his first season, kind of thing, with Liverpool. If you were just basing it purely on 1 year, which he had, which was an amazing year, then that would have been the only time I would have said, yeah, he should have won it, right? But other than that, no. The other ones, at least one time, you know, in the podium finish. But you know what it is? It is what it is. They're not going to give him his flowers. Then it's calm. Like I say, I'm here to do that. I'm here to give Mo Salah his flowers. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because I feel like people are just forgetting. I feel like man are just forgetting who this guy is. Like, and you know what? That part doesn't even frustrate me as much, actually. It's not even the fact that people are forgetting who he is. It's the fact that people have the audacity to try and bring up all these other players in the team. I'm like, bro, they couldn't even lace his boots. Let's keep it a buck. They can't even lace his boots. And to be honest, there's not even that many players around Europe who could lace his boots. And this is a guy who's looking like he's on the decline, and they still can't lace his boots. So what are we even doing here? What are we doing here? Like, what are we even saying? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, and I think that's what baffles me the most, man. That's what baffles me the most. If we take a look here, so obviously this is him compared. Obviously, one player that, of course, like, and I think is a very good player, is Mohamed Kudus. You know, this is a player that a lot of Liverpool fans, you know, they want and stuff like that. And obviously, I said, oh, you know, let's look at let's compare, you know, what he was like last season, and obviously that's the season that people are basing it off, and what Mohamed Salah was like last season, who by most Liverpool fans' perception was he had like a full season, right? No worries, I ain't got no beef with that, because I totally agree. I thought he kind of stunk, you know, for bits of last season anyway. So when we're looking at it on the face of it, you know, I tried to get up, you know, quite a few of the stats. Let's just remove this. So yeah, I tried to get up a few of the stats. Mohamed Kudus is on the left, Mohamed Salah on the right. This is per 90 minutes. I mean, you guys can go out and check these stats for yourself. He's got a better conversion rate. Assists 0.4 to 0.3, so relatively the same. Chances created though, Mohamed Kudus is only creating 1.1 per 90 in the Premier League. Salah 2.3. Passes attempted more, but you know, I give that one a blight. Accuracy, this is where Mohamed Kudus is obviously coming out ahead. Crosses attempted again, through balls 0.7 to 0.2. Forward passes, Salah makes 9 a game, but again, I'll allow those kind of things because of the way West Ham kind of play. So fair enough. Look at the duels contested. He absolutely dwarfs Mohamed Salah. We know that he isn't a guy to do that. And I think this is where people really look at it, is the duels contested, take-ons, and the take-on success. That's where people are really looking at it. And it's like, people want this right here, right? And I think this is where I come into play. You all want this. You want to see this, right? And again, I've got no problem, because clearly, as we can see, take on success, Mohamed Kudus 61.69, right? Ground duels contested, ground duel success. He's dwarfing Mohamed Salah in all of the ball recoveries. You know, Salah's only making 3 per 90. Mohamed Kudus is 7.7. That's amazing. So on the defensive side of things, we are seeing an astronomical, maybe I'm going a bit too far, but we're seeing a higher percentage from Mohamed Kudus than we are seeing from Mohamed Salah, right? No problem. But then when we go back to the other ones, where it really matters, man's still seeing 0 point in terms of goals. He's got a lot more goals. Goals from inside the box, goals from outside the box, their level. Conversion rate, relatively close, but Mohamed Salah's obviously coming out ahead. Open play passes, assists, chances created, passes attempted, like crossing, through balls, passes, forward passes, passes completed in opposition half, possession lost. Mohamed Salah's not really losing that much possession. Touches in an opposition box. Again, might just be because of position. So again, I'm not gonna get mad at that too tough. How many times the player is tackled? Again, well, if Mohamed Kudus is making more dribbles and stuff like that, I expect him to be tackled a lot more. But Mohamed Salah isn't being tackled that much. So it all really depends on what it is that you're necessarily looking for. Now, Kudus, by the way, all of these stats and all of these numbers, they're not that far off in certain aspects anyway. They're not even that far off. I mean, the shot accuracy, to be fair, is quite far. Like Kudus' shot accuracy is not that good. And we're already a team. These are the kind of things I will start to look at, because I'm like, we're already a team that doesn't have the greatest of accuracy with our players anyway. And yours is 39.53. Salah's is 62%. Yeah, okay, yeah. That shows me that you're not going to get as much goals if we keep creating the chances that we do. So you're not even going to get those kind of goals or even assists, so to speak, that I'm hoping that you'll get. I'm not looking for Salah numbers, by the way, people. I don't need Salah numbers. I don't care about no Salah numbers. Like, all of that stuff is just that's just paper talk, right there. I'm not necessarily looking, for that. And I do think Mohamed Kudus is a decent enough player. And I do think when we look at the stats, he'd be someone that I would love to kind of get in alongside a Mohamed Salah. But again, Salah's probably beating him in most of these metrics, bar really the defensive side of the game, if I'm being totally honest. And bearing in mind, regardless of anything, this is a season that, I mean, he's played one less game, but this is a season that we would consider Salah to be poor, by the way. This is Salah just being poor and Mohamed Kudus being sick. So I was expecting higher numbers, so to speak, but we're still not really seeing that. Again, on the attacking side of thing, on the defensive side of the thing, that's where we're seeing a decline, so to speak, and that's where we're seeing Mohamed Kudus 100% is a lot better in these areas. Again, you could say the team and style of play, and a little bit of that is going to come into play with a lot of these statistics and stuff like that, which I totally understand. Again, the stats are not going to be able to provide you the context, so you take from it what you want and you understand it in whichever way that you kind of want to understand it. I get all of that. But the reality is, this is what we are calling a guy who's having a poor season. This is what we are calling a guy who is not good enough versus a guy that we are all rating, rightly so, against a guy who we all sit here and think, okay, this is the next one up, etc., blah, 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 and all of these other various different things. Now we're here. You know what I mean? And now we are here. So yeah, like I say, Mohamed Kudus, a very, very good player, and I'm not here to dismiss someone like, a Mohamed Kudus, but the reality is I'm still looking at that and thinking, yeah, it's all right. Do you know what I mean? He's showing good numbers in certain areas. He's showing, decent numbers in other areas and etc., but, nothing really too tough. Let's go to another player I looked at was Leroy Sane. And I don't think this is really a realistic kind of signing, just because of, where Bayern Munich seem like they're kind of all over the gaff at this current moment in time. But, it was just someone that I just said, you know what, let's just take a quick look at him. So let's scroll up. All right, so this is Salah against Leroy Sane. Shot accuracy obviously better, goals. This is where Sane is really lighting it up. He's more of the assist. He can create quite a few chances here. So chances created 3 to 2.3, passes attempted, passing accuracy, I guess that's more to Bayern's play, but again, it's still better. Crossing, I expect it. So got to take the hit there. Ball recoveries, he's making more. Ground duels, he's making more. Ground duel success, that's where he's doing it. So again, we're looking at it on the face of it. He's where Kudus is better on the defensive side than a Mohamed Salah. Salah still dwarfs him in the attack side. Where Leroy Sane is better in the chance creation side, Salah's still better in the attacking in the other kind of side. So again, it really just does depend on what type of player you are looking at. And by the way, people, I'm not sitting here speaking from a position of selling Salah is necessarily a bad idea. And I don't want anyone to really misconstrue that. The position I'm actually speaking from is if you do sell him, first of all, who are you going to get? Because if, for example, you do get a Kudus or an Olise, for example, and that's someone we're going to look at, in a moment. If you do get any of these kind of players, your backup options are still going to be what your backup options were if you kept Salah, as an example, right? Surely we should all be in a position where we're in agreement that you get someone along. So you get in Kudus or you get in Olise, and I know everyone's gonna say, oh, but they might not, they want to play and stuff. Bro, they need to understand, if you're gonna go to these top clubs, I'm gonna have to sit on the bench at some point in time, because you guys are not the cream of the, the cream of the top. You know what I mean? You're not the creme de la creme, so to speak. So you need to understand that, and it's not going to be for a long period of time. It's not like you're going to be sitting on the bench for 2 years waiting for your chance. Like, you could easily get your chance next season. Salah might have a stinky period, as he does every season. Once he has that stinky period, something I've spoken about like 3 years ago, he always has a period where he just stinks. But let's just say he has that kind of period. Once he has that period, then that's where you come into play. And that's where you show everybody, exactly what it is that you can kind of do. And then once you've done that, you put yourself in the kind of window to say, listen, now I'm here, now I'm going to do my thing, and then boom. But then you've still got Salah to sit on the bench, come on in games, in certain games. You've got the options. My problem is, everybody's like, yeah, let's just sell Salah, you get an Olise. Okay, so who's your option then off the bench? What happens when Olise doesn't hit the ground running? What happens when he starts stinking up the place? We're going to be in the same position that we're always in, that we've been complaining about when we had Salah even in his prime. It's the same, like, the cycle just continues. You're just replacing one good player for another good player, and your bench option is still dead. It's still not dead. Let me not disrespect like the players on the bench, but they're not good enough. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Surely you'd want to bring someone in alongside these guys. Like that. That's the way I looked at it. That's the way I was hoping Liverpool fans wanted to kind of speak of it, kind of thing. If they're going to come with the chest, if I'm going to say, you know what, I agree, let's get rid of a Salah, boom, boom, boom. Okay, no worries. But if we're going to get rid of a Salah, man, I need 2 players now. 100%, I need 2 players at least. At least. I can't be dealing with just one. No way. Because then I'm just in the exact same place that I was in, previously. Then what do we do? Then how do we move? It's the same cycle just happening over and over again, and we're going to be complaining about the same things over and over again, and it's just annoying having these kind of conversations. But I think, again, more to it is just in terms of, we're looking at some players to potentially come in on top of maybe even the ones that we already have, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, fair enough. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Fair enough. Now, this is obviously Michael Olise. Everyone knows this is a player that I think is solid. I want him. I would want Liverpool to bring him in. If I had to pick between him and Kudus, I'm picking Olise every single day of the week, because I feel like someone like Olise, where I feel Kudus is more versatile, I don't want someone who's more versatile. I don't think that's going to be beneficial. I want someone who's a bit more of a specialist in that position. I don't think Kudus is a specialist right winger. I think he's someone who can play in that position, play number 10, play as a midfielder, play as a false 9, striker, all these kind of different things. And he does like a decent job, by the way, in all of these areas. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Michael Olise every single day of the week, because I think he can be a world-class right winger. I don't see world-class right winger in Kudus. Never have seen it, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to be a world-class player. I just think he'll be a very good player, but I don't think he'll ever be considered to be world-class, because I don't feel like he's going to find like that natural position, so to speak. I think for one team, he's going to do one thing. For another team, he's going to do another thing. Like for a national team, he's going to do this. Michael Olise is a right winger. You can perfect that just being the right winger. And I think that's where I think he's going to be ahead, so to speak. But again, let's wait and see what the statistics kind of look like. Take all this bloody cookies. God, I hate these cookies. So yeah, looking at this. This is from this season. Kind of surprised here. I'm seeing the conversion rate of a Michael Olise, 27.78 open play passes, way better. Passing accuracy, 83 to 75 passes attempted. Crossing accuracy, obviously more. I always expect that. Forward passes. So the reality is, the only player that I can probably really get behind is a Michael Olise, because he's actually beating Mohamed Salah with only playing 19 games. I know, and obviously I've done this. If I did total, Mohamed Salah will probably come out on top on everything, because he's played more games, right? That's why I said let's do it per 90 minutes, because then we can really see what they're doing in the games that they are playing, just to make it fair, for everybody, because otherwise this would just be deemed unfair. He's only played 19 games in the Premier League this season. Mohamed Salah's played 32. This season, he's been considered poor. This season, Olise has been considered really good, and he's beating Mohamed Salah in a lot of these metrics. So if there is going to be one player who is probably my favorite player of the lot, if there is going to be one player that you will bring into the fold, it has to be a Michael Olise. And this is what I keep talking about when we talk about the levels of players. We can talk about all these other, and I know he's not for the same position, but when we talk about like the level of player of like a Somerville, or we talk about the level of player, even like a Kudus, who I think is still a calm signing. Like, I'm not going to be mad if you got Kudus in, but you're talking about replacing Mohamed Salah, and again, some of the names that you man are bringing, they're like, bro, they can't really even lace man's boots. Like they're not really on the same kind of wavelength like Olise is, though, as he's obviously shown here by all of these metrics. So I'm not gonna sit here and get angry if we sold most of Mohamed Salah as an example and then got in a Michael Olise, but we will still have a problem if Michael Olise does not hit the ground running. If he does not perform, who is your options? Hence why I'm saying keep Mohamed Salah. If he goes on a free, bro, he goes on a free. You still got your replacement in. There are like, I feel like the owners have got us so tapped into thinking that every single summer, every single time, we have to be in profit for every single thing. I'm like, brother, when is there gonna come a time where you actually just take a bold chance? And and I'm not saying Liverpool fans don't want that, by the way, because we have been quite vocal in about that. But when is there going to be a time like where you say, okay, maybe this summer we are going to be in the red, but just for this summer, just one time, we're going to be in the red, right? We don't have to worry about selling players. We've got the money. We've got like the 200 M's or whatever. We can go out and sign whoever we need to sign. Maybe that, like, when is that summer going to come? Because right now we're all just thinking we need to sell Salah, get him off the wage bill, sell him for however much people want to sell him for, 80 mil, 100 mil, etc., etc. Yeah, once you do that, you go in and get Michael Olise. Okay, cool. Once you get Michael Olise, like I keep saying, you're going to be in the same position, because when Olise stinks it up, which he will inevitably do anyway, because every player that has a period like that, because he's not at that kind of world-class consistency level, when he does stink it up, we're all going to be sitting there saying, oh, we got no one off the bench, kind of thing. Ben Doak, yeah, he's all right, but he still needs like 3 years. Like, that's going to be the conversation. Bro, keep Salah. Whether he leaves on a free, irrelevant. Guess what? You've now got your guy in. By then, you are hoping that a Ben Doak has now been able to improve to the point of he's an adequate enough player to be able to come in for an Olise. It gives everybody a bit more time. For me, it's forward planning. Like I said, this is obviously on the basis that Salah doesn't extend his deal and etc. If he decides to extend his deal, then maybe the type of player that you are looking at might have to potentially drop a bit. But and even still, maybe you can still even go and get in an Olise. Did you get? Maybe you are telling Salah, oh, you're going to touch the bench now. You're going to be the bench player, but first sub, as an example. Or we're moving you to a different position. So that's where you're going to get wherever that is, whether it's striker, behind the striker, whatever that might be. That's just going to be your new position, because that's where I feel you're going to get, more game time, so to speak, kind of thing. I just think that we're being too black and white with everything when we talk about Mohamed Salah and stuff like that. And I'm just like, bro, I personally just look at it and I'm thinking to myself, I don't see the big problem if he says, I'm not gonna necessarily, not even that I don't think he actually doesn't want to extend. I just think Liverpool might not want to extend on the terms that maybe he's looking for, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's just like every footballer out there. They've got their terms, they got what they want. Why is Mo Salah any different? He feels he deserves whatever. I don't know what he thinks he deserves. He feels he deserves this. So guess what? If he wants this and the club don't want to pay that, cool. Everybody part their ways. We're too emotional and like, oh yeah, but he's a prick. Why doesn't he want to? Why should he? He's the best attacker that Liverpool have had for God knows how long. He's one of the best players to ever grace the Liverpool shirts. Why would he believe that he's going to be? Why should he sit there and think to himself, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to take less, because it will help out. Help out what? Like, if I feel like I can still play for a few more years, pay me what I'm owed. Pay me what I believe what I'm paid. And if you don't want to do that, that's not a problem. Guess what? I'm chilling. I don't want to go to Saudi. What if there's a situation where Saudi come in for him and he says no? Then what do we do? Liverpool can accept whatever bids that they want to accept. Guess what? Salah doesn't still have to go. He might turn down that contract. Like, there's so many different. Obviously, I doubt he's going to turn down the level of contract that they give him, right? But let's just say there's a hypothetical where these things don't happen. I've seen so many players who have the club have accepted, but the player hasn't agreed terms. Now we're here. now we are here. Like, what do we then do in that kind of situation? But again, we need to have planned for this. And I think that's what I'm more looking at more than anything else is, are the club planning for all of these kind of, again, by the way, the window's not open yet, so I have no idea. And for all I know, the club are really planning for all of this kind of stuff. So I don't want to throw shade on that part. My shade is more going to people who are like, yeah, let's just get rid of this guy and get this guy in. Okay, so we're going to be in the same position then, right? Where you're going to be moaning again because this player is going to come in with a level of inconsistencies. He's not going to obviously put up the Mo Salah numbers, and then he's not going to put up the assists. Mo Salah's still creating all the chances in the world. It's not his fault that he's got bums next to him. Like, what? Like, we're in the same position, in the exact same position. Why not keep Salah for one more season? Why not have that experience there? We've always been talking about it. We always try to see it. We see Kudus and Modric still at the football club. Obviously, Kudus is leaving at the end of this season. We see them at the football club. But guess what they've got? They've had Camavinga, Chouameni, these guys for Valverde for like 2-3 seasons now. And them guys have now been embedded so much into the team in terms of playing with Kudus, without Kudus, you know, and all these kind of different things, different tactics, formations, etc., that now when Kudus leaves, I'm not saying that they're not going to take a hit, so to speak, because of how great of a player he is, but the hit isn't going to be a madness. And even if it is, it might just be for a short time because these other guys are in a position to, I'm already ready to kind of step in now, so it doesn't really matter. That's what Liverpool should be doing anyway. Keep these kind of guys. I don't mind you keeping the Virgils, the Robbos, and whatever. Just have these other guys ready to go, so that in a year or two's time, we're good to go. Man, I ain't even stressing because I already know who I've got, you know, coming in reserve. And when the player, by the way, is still putting up the craziest of numbers, come on, bro. Like it's too easy. It's too easy, man. It's way too easy, man. Like I said, if you guys can provide me a good succession plan for someone like a Salah, and again, obviously it's difficult because it is a Salah, then I'm all ears. I'm all ears. I'm ready to hear it. But at the moment, I'm not hearing anything. All I'm hearing is, yeah, get rid of Salah because of the way that we play. We do this, that, and the other. Okay, no worries. So you're going to get in this other guy. So he's going to have a lot of inconsistencies probably within his first season. Don't know if he's going to hit the ground running. He might do. He might not. He might have a Salah type season. No idea. But I'm going to go on the basis that they're not going to have that kind of season, right? Okay, no worries. They're still going to be probably a good enough player if it's like a Kudus and Olise. So you're going to give them the time, right, to be able to do their thing. On top of that, you still got other players who are still bumming out. So if all these other guys are still being bums, now what do? Now the attack's looking kind of fugazi, right? Cool. So now you've got no inevitability within your team. Okay, cool, no worries. So you're going to wait another 2-3 years, then potentially that inevitability is going to come in. We're playing the guessing game. Why not just keep the guy there? This isn't a guy who gets mad injuries, by the way. This isn't even a guy that you're looking at thinking, brother, he's always injured like a Jota. I can't even rely on him on a season. Bro, I can rely on Salah all the time. I can't rely on Olise like that. As great as by the way, I would love Liverpool to sign him. Can't rely on Olise like that. Not for basing of the last 18 months. Can't really do that. Kudus, maybe you could. But Kudus can play so many different positions. What's his best position? You know, like, there's so many different variables, man. Like I said, just have that succession plan. I'm very good. Leave on a free. No problem. Got my player in, got my Olise in. Ben Dokes now, obviously, come back from injury. He's good enough. If he's not good enough, then obviously you're going to go out and sign someone else. Not a problem. Not a problem. Again, these are not problems that a top club should be kind of worrying about. I feel like we worry about like the wrong things at moments in time. The reality is, if he's good enough, Ben Doak, by the way, if he is good enough, no worries. Liverpool got their right side sorted. It's just really the left side is looking a bit fugazi. Okay, cool. We need to sort out that Diaz, Gakpo, Nunes. It kind of looks a bit crap at this moment. As of today's day, it looks a bit crap. All right, no worries. We'll get that pattern. We'll sell some players. We'll do this and we'll do that. But I think to honestly, in my opinion, would be silly to say, yeah, I'm gonna let my best attacker go in my first season that I'm here. I feel like you'd want to keep someone like that, at least for the first season. Like I said, second season, bro, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about him after this season. By the way, after this season, I'm like, bro, you can go. Like you can fully go. I've got no issues with that, no problem with that. Because by then, he's like 32, be 33, turning 34. Yeah, we can keep it dipset. But I'm hoping that the club have already got patterned someone else to come in anyway, or they've got that person within the team. If you don't, that's where it's a problem. That's not Salah's problem, by the way. That's the club's problem. That's the club who we're not making these succession plans for, and that's where things will lie. But we'll wait and see, man. We of course, we will wait and see. as to, what happens. As I said, Salah can leave on a free. I am absolutely fine with that. But let me know what you guys, of course, think in the comment section. Are you going to be mad if he leaves on a free, or are you going to be more mad at the owners if they allow him to leave on a free and Liverpool still do not have someone to come into play? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm G. I'm out, man.